This is HuffPost Live. I'm Ricky Camilleri. Thousands of teenagers are arrested every year in New York, creating a stain on their record that can affect education, jobs, and even more for years to come. The Young New Yorkers program aims to change that. It's an 8-week-long transformative justice program for 16 and 17-year-olds. It combines art, interviews, and a focus on thinking through actions. Once the program is completed, the participant's case is dismissed and sealed. Joining us now, we have Rachel Barnard, the founder and executive director of Young New Yorkers, Daniel Aguilar, a graduate of the program, and Lenny Correa, a teaching artist with Young New Yorkers. Guys, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Daniel, I want to start with you. I want to hear your story, and then I want to hear the story of the program. But talk to me about how you got involved, where you were before, and what happened to get you involved.
Sure. Well, this all happened when I was 16 years old. I committed a misdemeanor. That's what I was actually charged with. And then after that, I had two choices, either jail time or join this program with Rachel. And that's what I chose. This was about maybe 3 years ago. And I was in the program. At first, I was scared. Just like all of us, we were just troubled teenagers at the time. And after that, Rachel and the crew, they just somehow just changed our lives. Through the program, we did art programs, drawings, went on excursions. And
did you have a leaning towards the arts at all beforehand?
At first, no, not really. I'm not really an artistic person. But through it, I actually started drawing. There was some exercises that I really enjoyed, and that actually helped me, I guess, open up my mind to bigger things at the time.
Well, if you're not an artistic person going into it, already you're conquering something already by conquering some sort of insecurity going in there, right? So right away, you're kind of battling yourself in the most positive way possible. Did you recognize that once you started doing artistic activities?
Yes. I mean, I didn't know anybody in that program. The first step I went in there, I was like, who are these people? I was scared, I was nervous, I didn't know what to do. You know what I mean? I didn't even know how to communicate with them. You know, I'd never actually been in a room with someone who's not really my type of people. I don't know if that makes any type of sense.
No, that makes sense.
So when I went in there, but after a while, we became a family. Communicated, we would talk to each other, we were talking about issues, how to improve ourselves, and from that moment on, it just really did change my life.
Talk to me about how you guys make the issues that you talk about, what the students in the program, the participants in the program want to talk about, how you make that a part of the arts program itself. I think for certain people on the outside, they would say, well, what does that have to do with drawing, with making music?
Well, the first half is taking account for our actions, but then the second half we use public art as a medium for addressing public issues. And we talk about whose voices is heard in public space and why, what are different issues that are important to us, and then we each take on a social issue and we propose a public art project. So in the past we've had kids take on ideas such as people remembering dreams in their neighbourhood right through to gun violence and solitary confinement. And at the final exhibition they actually realise those public art projects, or one of them, and it's usually very participatory, people kind of writing their visions for the future of the system.
Daniel, was it even a choice for you when you were there and they were like, jail or arts program? Or you're like, arts program?
Yeah, just arts program. I didn't want to spend any time in any type of jail cell at all.
And what did you think you were going to be getting into?
To be honest, I have no clue. I thought it was probably just going to be like a probation type of program, I guess. They were just discipline. Nothing about the arts. Definitely nothing about the arts. But it was a surprise to walk in there, and that was the first thing we did.
Now, you know, when you were done, obviously it was dismissed from your record. Your record, it was sealed. But what else did you feel like you had gained going out into the world afterwards?
I had a voice. As a Spanish person, young man that I am, I never really thought I had a voice. But now through Rachel in the program, I can go out into society and say that, look where I've been and where I'm coming right now, and how far I've gotten, and then maybe I could stand up for people just like me, or young teenagers like me.
It let you know that your voice mattered.
Yes.
Absolutely. Lenny, talk to me about how you help kids realize that their voice matters.
Well, that's what I do through public art. I'm a muralist, and a lot of what you do through that is for me, is to reflect what's going on around you. I totally feel you on that, Dan. I myself work under an alias because I'm trying to highlight my identity. So I hide my identity to highlight it. And a lot of what you do with the program or with public art is, reflect those voices. So it was such a fit.
Well, when you're talking about art, so often you are talking about identity, and not just the authenticity and identity of the artist, but the identity of the art, where it comes from, what it reflects within our society. How does that work within the conversations of giving someone like Daniel, or letting someone like Daniel know that he has a voice?
Well, it's perfect when you think about, the sort of like idea of street art or graffiti coming from a populace, coming from angsty teenagers doing graph that are just saying, this is me, I'm here. To channel or to kind of guide these kids into that area is very interesting as an artist and through the program.
Rachel, how receptive have people been to this? People that are working in the criminal justice system, judges, lawyers, police officers, how receptive are they to this program?
I can't think of a single case where they haven't thought it was completely wonderful. I think often in these conversations what we forget that people that are in the system are human beings, and I've had a judge refer to it as a grind, and that's really exhausting. And what our exhibitions and when they come and visit our programs, it gives them space to rethink what's possible, not just theoretically in the long-term future, say if you read an op-ed, but right now, this is possible right now, and these kids are extraordinary. They meet them beyond the rap sheets, but they also the kids propose their ideas around very complex issues that we're all thinking about, and their ideas are often brilliant. We're speaking with NYPD in East Flatbush right now, and we have very different points of views, but they're so open to the conversation and they so want to reach the Flatbush youth, so I'm very excited about that. But I think we're one of the very few art programs that have partnerships with every agency in the criminal justice system, and it's really because of people like Daniel who through the program have given voice to why the program is important and why they should have the chance to step up and transform the criminal justice system through their own creative voices.
Well, I think it's so important, Daniel, that you said it gave you a voice, because so often when people think of arts programs, they think of arts as a vocation of some kind. Like, you're getting involved in this program, so afterwards you can have a career in the arts, when in actuality, a program like this is possibly just benefiting you emotionally, personally, your security, your self-confidence going out into the world, no matter what occupation you pursue.
Definitely. Through the program, I definitely learned that I have a voice. So now that I'm growing up, I'm in John Jay right now, so I want to be a forensic psychologist.
Which most would not necessarily consider as part of the arts, but...
Exactly. But yeah, so I've never really been an arts person, but just for the fact that I actually just said that, I have a voice. I think that's the bottom line. You have a voice, so go out there and actually speak what you have to say or what's on your mind, any idea that you have. That's art. Art basically telling you, what's on your mind through a visual sense or whatever it may be. But for me personally, now I do have a voice. Now I can articulate it with my own voice or whatever it may be.
Now talk to me about funding, Rachel, because right now there's a silent art auction tomorrow night, right? And this is in many ways how you guys get the funding for this.
Yeah, that's another part of the wonderful aspect of the community that makes up Young New Yorkers, because we have everyone from judges to the kids, but our first program was completely funded by a group of street artists that donated artwork and then held a silent art auction. And that's very much thanks to Lenny, one of our founding team members who organised that. And tomorrow we have our third silent art auction. We have more than 100 artists giving, and they're doing it with such an open heart, because often they were arrested as young people themselves. They've been through the system. They know how it impacted them. Often we underestimate the trauma that results from a young person going through the system. It's profoundly scary. You don't know what's going to happen. And so these artists, some of who have experienced that, some who haven't, are all really doing it for young people like Daniel that have such an extraordinary thing to say, as such extraordinary contributions, are stepping up and finding their leadership, but need some guidance right now.
Lenny, talk to me about how you got these artists involved. I mean, as she said here, artists have voice, and I imagine lots of artists look back on their teenage years and where they were just struggling to find where they could channel that voice.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of them that became very successful at it see this as a way of giving back. I myself went through the system, and I ended up just, having to clean a park for doing something out in the public, and to me that was not going to go anywhere. So being part of this program, kind of helping out in that way, made it all come around and give a sort of different answer and think of other ways to get there.
How do you approach artists when you tell them about this program and what their art benefits?
It's very easy because most of the artists I find like they
Quick
already
pitch.
know it. Yeah, like they already felt it, and they just want to be part of it in any way possible. And as an artist, being able to divert the idea of the market into a non-for-profit organization and take that kind of money leverage and bring eyes and attention to such an issue is what they get out of it. And also we try to highlight them and create a community of collectors that can also be part of it.
How often do you find when the program starts and you get a new group of kids that are joining the program, what's your introduction for them to let them know that they don't necessarily have to have a passion or an initial passion for the arts? How do you get them involved? How do you get them motivated outside of staying out of jail?
That's actually a really interesting question, and my experience kind of says something that you wouldn't think is obvious. Obviously, we say you're here for a reason, and this is the reason, this is what we're going to do, but we do break the ice exercises using things like photography and video that is a lot of fun, but allows them to know each other. And so they then make friends, and then once they make friends, they're very happy to come back and meet their court mandate. They want to come back. It almost doesn't matter how cool your program is, as long as they have a community and a sense of belonging with each other, they'll come back because they want to see each other. And then the second piece is that we draw an arc for them in the introduction. Like right now we're going to take account for our actions, because before anyone can hear what you have to say, you need to take responsibility for what's happened. And at the end, we're going to have all the judges and the district attorneys and the defence attorneys and the court staff and even the guards come and re-meet you and hear what you want to say about something that's very important.
That's incredible. I mean, they get to speak back to those that they probably felt most voiceless towards.
It's amazing. We have a one-day program as well, and in that one-day program, which is very, very, very minor offences, instead of being powerless and part of the landscape of that churn that everyone feels, all of a sudden on the Friday, a week after they've come in for their arraignment, they're having their case dismissed and sealed, but in collaboration with the judge, Judge Grasso, we turn the whole courtroom into an exhibition, and their self-portraits, which is a new vision of themselves, are all up on the walls, and the guards and all the people that are operating in that system and are exhausted and might have secondary trauma themselves and might not behave all the time how they might towards our kids otherwise, just have this new experience, and they meet the kids newly, and it changes the fabric, the social fabric of that courtroom into a far more loving and accepting space and an encouraging and aspirational space rather than a space of just judgment.
Well, the justice system is, I would say, almost intentionally impersonal, right? So which it almost shouldn't be if you're dealing with kids. You're dealing with anybody, but it seems to me what you're doing here is adding, like you said, a certain amount of love, a certain amount of establishing everybody as a person, as an individual within that courtroom. It's so interesting. You would think that sometimes judges or lawyers would not want that around, but you say that they respond incredibly well to it.
They do respond well to it. I think one way we build our credibility is that we're quite strict. So if we meet the court mandate. So if somebody is more than half an hour late, they can't attend.
Wow.
And so I've had
just once, like.
They can't attend that class.
Oh, that class.
And then if they're late again, then they're out of the program. We've never had anyone out of the program. So
really?
That's out of the 8-week program, so that's fine. But I've even had Judge Grasso have his court attorney escort someone to my program because they've turned up in the court rather than at the program, and she was going to be late. And so he had his court attorney, and he was calling my mobile, cell phone, but I don't answer it, obviously, during class. I don't have it on me. So so we have that credibility, and I do use the word love and connection and collaboration and transformation all the time, and there's a few really courageous people in the criminal justice system from different agencies, especially in Brooklyn, who are talking to each other, and just wonderful individuals that see the problems but are looking for ways to move through them, optimistic ways forward.
Now, I imagine when you started this program, it must have felt like a mountain to climb because you're dealing with the justice system, but it seems like now that you're in the midst of it, it's something completely different, something that I bet you never would have imagined it to have become.
Yeah, this is a complete surprise. When we first started, it was just going to be a public art project to give voice to 16 and 17-year-olds who are prosecuted as adults but are too young to vote and affect meaningful change around something that impacts them the most. And then over 10 months, talking to some amazing people, having meetings every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, we were struck by the responsibility of working with these young people, and two of the defence attorneys that were part of those casual conversations actually introduced me to a judge, and we became court mandated. And then we did the first program, and at the exhibition, all the people from the system that came were so moved that they encouraged us to start our own organisation. So
I'm moved. It's incredible. Congratulations, guys.
thank you.
Thanks so much for being here. Congratulations on this project. It's absolutely phenomenal. One of the most inspiring things I've heard in a long time.
Oh, thank
and I
you.
think I deal in inspiration talking to people here all the time.
Awesome.
The Young New Yorker Silent Art Auction is tomorrow night right here in New York City, and you can learn more about it and the program from the links in our resource well below. Stick around. We got a lot more great conversations coming up here at HuffPost Live.